Legend of Ling Tian. Chapter 1: Ling Tian's Vengeance. The sun rose and daybreak arrived. The surface of the ocean glistened in the sunlight, and the waves rose and fell like the gentle rocking of a mother's embrace. Wave by wave, it continued to rise and fall without end. In a faraway place, a colony of seagulls flew up into the skies, circling in the skies for a long time. Ling Tian, with a suave face and beautiful complexion, was dressed in a snow-white windbreaker, appearing as though he was a marble figurine. He sat on the yacht and completely blended with it as his body rose and fell together with the waves. His fringe blew with the winds, and a mysterious smile spread across his face with an intense look in his eyes. He melded into this beautiful picture, and everything looked to be in complete harmony. Even the pickiest of painters would not be able to find any flaws in this natural picture. Ling Tian's expression did not reveal any joy or surprise as he silently enjoyed the beautiful scenery around him. But in reality, his heart was in turmoil, and he was deeply troubled as the matters of the past flashed through his memory. Ling Tian came from the most mysterious ancient martial family in China, the Ling family. Ever since he was young, he received the most brutal of trainings and was smarter than his peers. At the age of 15, he was already a head above the rest and was unbeatable amongst people from his generation, be it inner or physical martial arts, the four arts of a Chinese scholar, or other miscellaneous things. He was regarded as the hope of the younger generation in the Ling family and was the most outstanding representative. As he thought about that, bitterness was inevitably displayed through Ling Tian's eyes. Ling Tian was born from the second side branch of the Ling family and was not of direct descent. As such, ever since he became famous when he was 15, the second side branch of the Ling family was not only given more attention but also ruthlessly suppressed by those of direct descent. As Ling Tian turned 16, the second side branch was already in a perilous situation. If not for the protection of a few elders in the family, the second side branch might have been completely wiped out because of Ling Tian. A conspiracy finally happened in the midst of the silence. Ling Tian remembered clearly that it happened during summer when he was 17. It was only 11 days before the Mid-Autumn Festival when he had gone to the lakeside because he was feeling frustrated. However, he had unexpectedly found his younger sister, Ling Shuer, drowning in the water. Ling Tian did not have a good impression of this sister of his as he felt that she was too materialistic and competitive. Thus, he would usually keep a distance from her. But no matter what, he would never leave her in the lurch in such a situation. Seeing Ling Shuer crying for help in the water, Ling Tian did not think of anything and jumped in immediately. At that moment, Ling Tian did not even find it strange for Ling Shuer, who was always surrounded by people, to be by the lake alone. How was it possible for a girl who grew up by the river to not be able to swim? How was it possible for someone with such profound martial skills like Ling Shuer to fall into the lake without any rhyme or reason? Wasn't it strange for the usually proud Ling Shuer to cry out for help? Perhaps Ling Tian considered all of these things. Perhaps he did not consider any of these. But no matter what, he still jumped in to save this sister of his whom he disliked since he was young. Although Ling Tian was smart and was not one with simple thoughts, he was only a 17-year-old child at the end of the day. Ling Tian, who had never come into contact with the outside world, was still extremely pure despite being pressured by the family. He would never have expected that they would resort to such means just because of authority. Just when Ling Tian jumped into the water and approached Ling Shuer, the weak Ling Shuer suddenly became extremely energetic and fought him in the water. At the same time, she began to cry out for help with a pitiful voice full of fear. In that instant, Ling Tian realized that Ling Xuer's clothes were actually in tatters. It was as though someone had torn it apart by force. Then, Ling Tian began to feel that something was wrong. Just when he wanted to break free from Ling Xuer and head back up to shore, the shore was already filled with a large group of people. Ling Tian's mind immediately turned blank because everyone present was a direct descendant in the family. This is definitely a trap. A trap enough to destroy my reputation completely. What a joke, I actually jumped in without guarding against her completely. Of course, Ling Xuer was rescued up to shore. Then, she bitterly complained about how Ling Tian tried to rape her. Her torn clothes became the biggest evidence for her claim that Ling Tian threw her into the water out of frustration, and she tried to resolutely defend herself. At that moment, the 50-odd people surrounding the lake became the eyewitnesses. The evidence was concrete. Ling Tian's actions were dishonorable. Not only had he tried to usurp power in the family through lustful means, but also tried to rape his own younger sister in the family. His actions were extremely vile, making one's hair stand at the thought of it. He was worse than a beast. The family head personally gathered the 5 elders of the sect and made a judgment towards Ling Tian. Throughout this process, Ling Tian did not say a single word. In actual fact, he no longer had the need to say anything. In just that instant, Ling Tian was no longer the hope, but rather, the shame of the family. The second side branch of the family which Ling Tian was in was also affected by that incident and thus, was not allowed to interfere with family affairs for the following 10 years. Ling Tian's parents did not bring him up properly and they had their freedoms restrained. They were not allowed to step out of the family for life. As for Ling Tian, he was the main offender and was a degenerate of the family. Thus, his punishment was also the harshest. His martial arts was completely crippled, and he was chased out of the sect, never to return to the sect in his lifetime. Ling Tian was thrown out from the family just like trash. Throughout the whole process, Ling Tian was in a daze as though he was in a dream. From then on, Ling Tian led a miserable life. Although Ling Tian was already chased out of the sect, his cousins did not intend to let him off. They found the greatest joy in humiliating someone whom they could never have hoped to even reach in the past. They never left his everyday life as if they were Ling Tian's shadow, and used every means possible to humiliate the man they used to look up to. For 3 whole years, the proud genius was struggling in a life worse than hell. Only after 3 years did his younger sister, Ling Menger, find a chance to save him by sending him to the Eastern Ocean, far away from the family. Only then did his torture end. Every now and then, Ling Menger visited Ling Tian to give him some daily necessities and update him about the situation within the section. As time slowly passed, the Ling family seemed to have completely forgotten the existence of this genius in the family. But Ling Tian could never forget everything which he had gone through. Revenge had become the only reason for his survival. The first elder who crippled his martial arts did not show him a shred of mercy at all. It was impossible to take revenge with martial arts from then on. In those few years, Ling Tian spent all of his time on firearms. The cold firearms had become the only resort he was left with. Just 3 months ago, Ling Menger visited for the last time to inform Ling Tian that Ling Xuer, who framed him before, was going to get married with the young master of the Huang family. The wedding was slated to take place at the Eastern Ocean, and Ling Tian was subtly told that it would be an extremely luxurious one. All of the large families and societal powers would be present to witness the blissful moment of Ling Xuer. As for the Ling family, all of the young talents and 3 elders would be present. As Ling Menger delivered the news, Ling Tian slipped into silence, not saying a single word until Ling Menger left. Before Ling Menger left, she said, "I know what you are thinking of. I also know what the only thing you want to do in this lifetime is. If you want to do it, you can dial this number. No matter what you need, the person who picks up the line will arrange everything for you nicely. Ling Menger then left a name card and disappeared from the sights of Ling Tian with confidence. Ling Tian just sat there for a whole day and night without moving as though he was a rock. The following day, he resolved to make the phone call after a whole night of consideration. Ling Tian knew that that was his best chance. If he missed it, he might never be able to take his revenge. Furthermore, that was also an ultimatum that his sister was giving to him. If he could eliminate everyone at the wedding, all of the various families would definitely suffer greatly, especially the Ling family, which would suffer a catastrophic damage capable of destroying them. From the whole event, the only ones who would be able to benefit would be his own sister, Ling Menger, and the branch which he was from. After he understood this point, many of his doubts in the past were cleared. Ling Menger, this naive-looking sister whom he took such great care of, was actually hiding such shrewdness. She was actually able to plan so far ahead. Her ambitions were actually so huge. Without a doubt, Ling Menger had been planning this Eastern Ocean scheme for at least 5 years. Ever since he was chased out of the sect, Ling Menger had plenty of opportunities to secretly save him. But she still chose to let him live in that hell for a full 3 years. Perhaps she had only completed the plan on the day she saved him. The most important piece of puzzle in the whole plan was himself. With his abnormal ability to calculate and set traps, as well as his deep understanding of explosives, Ling Tian was the rare genius in the family. Besides, he was prepared to die for revenge. All of these would not materialize without a single piece of the puzzle. But Ling Menger was finally able to look forward to such a day. Now every piece of the puzzle finally fell into place. After he understood all these, a chill rose from the depths of Ling Tian's heart, turning even his limbs cold. The last shred of goodness in his heart also disappeared. At the same time, the gratitude he felt towards Ling Menger also became hatred. No wonder his sister and everyone from his branch did not bother pleading for him when he was crippled and chased out from the family. They had already treated him like a tool for authority. The whole event of Ling Shui framing him was not only because of the direct descendants. It was also something that the second side branch was looking forward to. Crippling his martial arts and chasing him out of the sect was to eliminate the potential danger he posed to the direct descendants. Yet, he became a hidden nuclear bomb instead. The planning process had actually occurred without any signs for a whole 5 years. It was no wonder then that Ling Menger sent him to the Eastern Ocean instead of all places in the world. The location for the wedding between Ling Shui and young Master Huang had probably been decided a decade ago. At the same time, the plot which Ling Shui had been planning for was to strike them during the wedding. Now, there was already a large amount of explosives buried under the Huang family mansion where the wedding was going to take place. The explosives that were more than enough to transform a small hill into a small lake were silently buried under the ground, waiting to be activated. The only thing that was missing was someone to ignite it. No matter who were to ignite the explosives, the person would die for sure. In this world, only a small amount of people would be willing to give up their lives for ideals. Not everyone would have the courage to sacrifice themselves like that. However, Ling Tian was different. The only reason Ling Tian was still alive was for revenge. Ling Tian had an irreconcilable feud with Ling Shui. Moreover, after being humiliated by the direct descendants for 3 years, it was impossible for him to coexist with them. In order to bring all these people to hell with him, he was willing to do so even if it meant that he would die a horrible death. In fact, he was glad to do so. After Ling Tian dialed the number, he only requested for a few important tools. At the same time, Ling Tian warned them not to make any rash moves. Before igniting the explosives, this mission solely belonged to him. Ling Tian knew that if there were any anomalies, it would be enough to ruin the whole revenge mission. Hence, Ling Tian could not afford such a risk. Although he had unknowingly become a chess piece, he was still quite satisfied with his role. Menger, my sister. Although you are only using me, I am thankful. Ling Tian became silently steadfast. Since you want that family and that position, then I will help you. Legend of Ling Tian. Chapter 2, Mutual Destruction. It was the 9th day of the 9th lunar month. The cool autumn winds blew and the sky was a beautiful blue. Today was not only a meaningful day of celebration for the Chinese, but also a day where two of the largest families of the country, or even world, were having a marriage. The young lady of the Ling family, Ling Shuer, and the young master of the Huang family, Huang Jiayun, were going to broadcast their marriage to the world today. The location of the wedding was the Huang family mansion by the Eastern Ocean. A month ago, the Huang family renovated this mansion to make it look like a palace, luxurious and magnificent as though it came out from a painting. Half a month ago, guests from all over the world had begun to arrive. They were afraid that they would miss this wedding and the chance to cling on to some global big shots. As time grew near, the main characters from both families had yet to arrive, but the Huang family mansion was already filled with people. The skies were filled with colorful banners flying with the winds, and the mansion was like a sea of rose petals. Following which, the deafening sound of the rotating helicopter blades filled the skies as two helicopter squadrons slowly flew over with a majestic grandeur. A completely red helicopter took the lead in the center, and to its left and right were 9 helicopters. Colorful strips of streamers were let out as they flew past, making it seem like the 19 helicopters were riding on a rainbow from afar. Such a formation could only be described as mind-blowing. This was the escort fleet of the Ling family. In the age when the tradition of marriages was to fetch one with a wedding car, the Ling family made history with a helicopter escort. As the luxurious escort fleet was revealed, the crowd immediately broke out into a thunderous applause. At ground level, an ear-splitting gun salute sounded as pairs of gorgeous couples gradually disembarked from the helicopters. Just at this moment, everyone's view was blocked by the rose petals, which filled the skies, and everyone was only capable of seeing a sea of rose petals. Only after the helicopter landed on the ground did the fragrant roses scatter all over, filling the mansion with a lovely fragrance and painting the whole mansion a bright red. It was as though the rosy clouds from the morning sky were forcefully dragged down, transforming the mansion into a blood-red color. A young lady was dressed in a pristine white wedding gown with a face full of smiles. She looked as though she had gracefully descended from the skies like a fairy as she stepped on the rose petals. She was the bride of today, the Ling family's Ling Shuer. Such a beautiful scene made everyone dumbfounded, especially the leisurely arriving beauty, who could not help but make everyone feel a sense of inferiority. Seeing her slowly approaching, everyone instinctively let out a path for her. In the sea of rose petals, a young suave man stood there dressed in a black suit. He was Huang Jiayun, the groom and the young master of the Huang family. Upon seeing the both of them, everyone could not help but exclaim in their hearts, "What a perfect pair!" Huang Jiayun was extremely excited, because no one understood what this marriage meant better than him. After this marriage, he would become the spokesperson within the younger generation of the Huang family. Even in the world, he would be someone with sufficient authority. Furthermore, Ling Shuer was the dream girl in his heart. Today, he could finally fulfill his ambitions and bring the beauty home. He ignored the envious gazes and complicated expressions of his brothers beside him. After today, they would all be at his beck and call. Now, he no longer had to care about them at all. His status was already set in stone and nothing could change it anymore. Meanwhile, Huang Jiayun walked towards the beauty with a carefree smile. As though they were the center of the universe, everyone escorted the groom and bride towards the center of the hall. Everything was completely following Ling Tian's plans. The marriage was both grand and festive, in accordance to the traditional customs of China. Just when everyone was gathered in the main hall giving their blessings, a clear voice suddenly resonated throughout the place. "Younger sister Shuer, today is your big day, and this brother here came from a few thousand kilometers away just to give you a gift." This voice was extremely clear, slow and steady, void of any tinge of emotion, as though it was just a casual conversation. Ling Shuer, who was undergoing the traditional rituals of marriage, began to tremble all of a sudden. Her facial expression and revealed anxiousness and guilt filled her eyes. Everyone from the Ling family's expressions immediately changed. They had already recognized who the voice belonged to. They hadn't heard this voice for 8 years, and they never expected to hear it again during such an important occasion. Everyone from the Ling family was not an idiot. They all knew that the event back then was a pre-planned trap. Furthermore, that single trap executed by just one woman destroyed the rare genius of the Ling family side branch. After that incident, when the elders in the family thought about that event and that person, they were filled with a myriad of emotions. Some felt pity, while some were angry. Others were thankful and relieved, as if a burden was lifted off their shoulders. Everyone then turned and looked towards the entrance of the hall. Under everyone's gaze, a young man clad in white calmly walked in with both hands in his pockets. He was tall and slim, with a composed face and slight smile. He had a unique charisma, and looked extremely carefree and at ease, as though he was a cloud in the sky drifting with the winds. Huang Jiayun instinctively felt a sense of danger as he stared at the man in white and questioned, "Who are you?" As he said that, he looked towards Ling Shuer, who was standing beside him. Ling Tian naturally knew what Huang Jiayun was thinking about and said laughingly, "Don't be worried, young Master Huang. I am not your love rival. I am Shuer's brother, Ling Tian." Only then did Huang Jiayun heave a sigh of relief as he replied energetically, "So it is brother-in-law. Why didn't brother-in-law come with your uncles and instead came alone?" At the same time, he silently thought to himself, since when did Ling Shuer suddenly have an extra brother? How come I didn't know that? Nonetheless, he was extremely relieved, thinking, as long as he isn't a man who is here to snatch Shuer, all is well. The first elder of the Ling family, Ling Jing, then stepped forward and shouted with a solemn expression, "Ling Tian, we can settle our affairs in private. This is not a place for you to create trouble." Ling Jing was indeed a crafty old fox, as she immediately realized that something was amiss for Ling Tian to be present. Ling Tian laughed and said with a sharp gaze, eldest grandpa, then when is the time for me to create trouble? Is it when I rape her again, Despite Ling Tian's wholehearted smile and calm voice, the words he uttered were extremely vicious. As Ling Tian spoke, the whole atmosphere in the hall changed instantly. Everyone present began to break out into a commotion. Just who is this man? How dare he single-handedly come here to disrupt the marriage of two gigantic families? Don't tell me he has a strong backing. Almost everyone present had the same guess. Ling Jing's face became extremely serious because he knew that this grandchild of his was extremely smart and would never do anything which he had no confidence of. Now that he had appeared, today's matters would definitely not be settled peacefully. However, Ling Jing did not know what Ling Tian's trump card was. Ling Jing could only make some arrangements in secret to reduce the losses today to a minimum. Ling Jing then placed both his hands behind his back, giving a light wave. In response, all the Ling family disciples began to retreat. A teen dressed in a black suit then walked forward and said with a grin, "I was wondering who it was. So, it is the fine young gentleman of our Ling family. I say, little Ling Tian, are you sure you did not take the wrong medicine?" Ling Tian replied with a chuckle, "Oh, it is Brother Ling Chao. I have not seen you for such a long time. Brother Ling Chao really treated me so dearly back then. This brother here has been so worried for you ever since we separated 5 years ago. I have been having troubles sleeping thinking of you ever since. Ling Chao was the one who humiliated Ling Tian the most after his martial arts was crippled. Ling Chao then said with a forced smile, "Really? I really missed this brother of mine dearly. I have always wondered which rubbish chute my brother has been finding moldy bread from. I hope you don't starve." He pretended to be extremely concerned, revealing a frown. Rest assured, brother. Even if Brother Ling Tian can't find any moldy bread, he would not go hungry. Plenty of vegetables is thrown away at the market every day. I'm sure Brother Tian enjoys it a lot. A sissy voice sounded from a skinny teen behind Ling Chao. A pair of idiots. Ling Jing cursed in his heart. For Ling Tian to appear out in the open as such, he must have made appropriate plans for his revenge. With Ling Tian's intelligence, everyone here was already in a perilous situation. But these two idiots were still adding oil to the fuel and angering him further. Ling Shuer took a step forward and with a dreamy look, she said, "Brother Tian, this little sister has let you down regarding the matters back then. But many years have passed ever since. Today is this little sister's big day. Can't you just take a seat and enjoy a cup of wedding wine peacefully?" Ling Tian burst out into laughter and replied gently, "Little sister Shuer is too serious. I have long forgotten about the past. Today, Ling Tian is here because I have another deep regret in my heart, which I must say." Ling Shuer frowned and asked with an indescribable passion in her eyes, "I wonder what Brother Tian can't put down. If this little sister is able to help, I will definitely do my best to do so." Ling Tian's eyes then turned cold as he said with a ruthless smirk, "There is a Yellow Springs road which I should have taken long ago. But I've always couldn't bear to do so." Ling Chao then interrupted with a cold laughter, "That is because you have not eaten enough rubbish, so of course you can't bear to." Ling Tian ignored him and continued, "Today, I want to walk down that road. But I am just not satisfied." Ling Jing instinctively had a bad premonition and asked, "What are you not satisfied with?" Ling Tian then burst into laughter, "I am not satisfied that a bunch of trash like you all will be the ones accompanying me down that road." The Huang family head was immediately startled as he instantly guessed Ling Tian's trump card, explosives. Ling Tian turned to him and praised, "Indeed, you're worthy of being the head of the Huang family. Your reaction is fast, indeed." Ling Jing then roared, "Hurry and capture him, do not allow him to ignite the explosives." As he shouted, he had already dashed out. He was extremely aware that even if he were to catch Ling Tian now, it was already far too late. Thus, he thought that he should take the chance to leave first, possibly saving his life. Ling Tian looked to the skies and burst out with a maniacal laughter, "It's too late, it's too late. If you had escaped from the moment I came in, you may have been able to save your life. But now, Following the maniacal laughter, an explosion suddenly sounded along with other explosions throughout the mansion. Both inside and outside, all the people could not keep their balance as the ground trembled. The buildings within the mansion were all blown apart and cries of agony were heard all over. The place where the helicopters landed was all blown apart as well, making it seem like the world was ending. Ling Tian was unable to stand up straight due to the tremors from the explosion. Sitting on the floor, he said with a hearty laughter as he saw all of the people frantically trying to hide, "Don't bother hiding. Although the effect of this bomb can't be compared with the atomic bomb the United States used on Japan, it wouldn't be too far from it." A cruel expression filled Ling Chao's face as he held a short blade. He then roared mournfully, "Ling Tian, even if we are going to die, you will die first." Then, he charged towards Ling Tian with his blade. Ling Tian did not avoid him, letting the blade plunge into his chest as the blood spewed all over. He only continued to laugh out loud maniacally. The strongest explosion finally happened as a few mushroom-shaped clouds appeared in the skies. Below, the Huang family mansion could no longer be seen, replaced with a deep crater. The dam from afar was also blown apart, causing the waves to rush in. From then on, there was a new ring-shaped bay in the Eastern Ocean. A couple of kilometers away, there was a young lady dressed in black on top of a mountain, with tears all over her beautiful face. The lady in black lit up 3 sticks of incense and poked it into the ground. Taking a bow, she mumbled, "Brother Tian, have a good trip." Legend of Ling Tian. Chapter 3, Yellow Springs Road. Ling Tian was filled with the thrill from revenge. The moment he saw the hopeless expressions on Ling Shuer, Ling Chao, Ling Han, and everyone else during the explosion, he was completely overjoyed. It was just too bad that he did not have the time to enjoy the sweet feeling of revenge. Following the heaven-shaking explosion, Ling Tian felt his body turn light as he saw a bright road appear before him. Ling Tian was extremely puzzled as he wondered if he had really survived from such an explosion. After checking his body, he realized that he was completely uninjured and could not help but be perplexed. He involuntarily walked along the road of light. As he moved, he immediately felt that there was something different in his body. His body was actually floating as he moved forward. Ling Tian could not help but laugh bitterly. "So, I did indeed die. This road must be the famous Yellow Springs Road. When I was alive, I have thought about this road for so many times and wanted to tread this path. At this moment, my wish can be said to have come true." Ling Tian thought while mocking himself. This road was different from what he had thought. To his sides and behind were all dark, except for the direction he was heading, which was shining with a dim light. The road seemed to be extremely stable and he could not tell what was beneath it. Was it made of rock or mud? Ling Tian could not help but be curious. Ling Tian tried to move backward, but his body just wouldn't move. Then, he tried to walk to the side, but was unable to do so either. It was as though there was an invisible barrier present preventing him from doing so. It seemed that one could only walk forward on this road. It was impossible to walk sideways or backwards. As Ling Tian floated forward, he felt an unexplainable carefreeness in his heart despite his death. "Ha ha ha, Yellow Springs Road and Grandmother Meng's soup. Ling Tian, have been looking forward to it. The faster I drink Grandmother Meng's soup, the faster I can forget all of the memories from my past life." Ling Tian prayed in his heart. Ling Tian suddenly realized that he was not alone on this road. After observing carefully, he realized that there was a continuous stream of people with bitter faces behind him. As they walked, they began to complain and purposefully moved slowly. Every few steps they took a look back as though they had some regrets in their lives. Ling Tian could not help giggling secretly, thinking, "It seems that I am the only one who is able to walk on this road happily." Thinking about this, Ling Tian could not help but have a sense of pride in his heart as he laughed with delight. The moment he began to laugh, Ling Tian became the center of everyone's focus. There is actually someone who is so happy to be dead. Those who were trying to slow down their footsteps instinctively gazed at him. "Damn it, so it is that sicko. This daddy here will beat you to death." A spirit dashed forward angrily as he grabbed Ling Tian. Just when Ling Tian wanted to avoid him, he realized that the right hand of the spirit actually passed through his body. Ling Tian could not help but laugh to himself, "So, I can't get injured as a spirit." Seeing that he was unable to catch Ling Tian, the spirit didn't bother wasting his effort and only scolded, "This daddy here does not have any enmity with you. It doesn't matter if you want to seek revenge with the Ling family. Why do you have to drag me down?" The moment this person made a move, more and more people found Ling Tian, and soon, a crowd of more than 10 spirits began to flock around him, attacking him with obscenities. As Ling Tian thought about it for a moment, he immediately understood that these people must have been guests at the wedding who never imagined that they would die even before getting to enjoy the wedding banquet. Ling Tian did not have a shred of guilt at all. Having been a part of the Ling family before, he was educated about how society was a man-eat-man world. He was no longer concerned about things like life and death. He was completely unconcerned about the death of an ordinary person. It was merely the survival of the fittest. Everyone had the chance to be an unparalleled expert. It was all a matter of how much effort one put in. If you were not hardworking and threw away your life, who do you have to blame? The heavens gave all humans an equal chance. If you were not hardworking and became a cannon fodder, then don't complain. Seeing the faces of all these angry people, Ling Tian suddenly thought about Ling Shuai and gang and wondered if they were all on this road as well. The moment Ling Tian thought about that, he automatically stopped by the side of the road to wait for them. He wanted to see the expressions on those heartless individuals who could harm their own family. A short while later, there was another large batch of people who emerged from the darkness. These people walked even more slowly and were cursing incessantly. The one who was walking right at the front was that old man, Ling Jing. Behind him was Ling Chao, Ling Han and Ling Hu. Ha ha ha, not a single one of them is missing. Seeing the agitated looks on their faces, Ling Tian was completely overjoyed. Ling Jing and all present were completely down, not realizing that the very person who caused their deaths was right beside them, and continued cursing as they walked. Ling Tian could not help but laugh to himself. Just when he wanted to continue walking behind them, he saw a lonely and beautiful white figure appear in front of him. She was still dressed in a white wedding gown. She was Ling Shuai. Ling Tian walked forward with a smile and said, "Little sister Shuai, just like the saying, we will definitely have a chance to meet again, we meet again." Looking at Ling Shuai, Ling Tian did not see the expected resentment in her. She only smiled at him and passed by him. Extremely puzzled, Ling Tian asked, "You don't hate me? Don't you blame me for destroying you during the most blissful time of your life?" Ling Shuai then stopped and faced him calmly. Then, she said with a sneer, "Most blissful time of my life. Ha ha ha, Ling Tian, what a joke. Do you know? Not only do I not hate you, but also, in fact, I am extremely grateful for you." Ling Tian rubbed his head and frowned, "I don't understand what you mean." A mesmerizing smile appeared on Ling Shuai's face as she said, "Brother Tian, do you know? After framing you back then, I had a whole year of nightmares. I dreamt that you were right in front of me regardless whether I was awake or not. Do you know? I was almost tortured by you till I went crazy. I secretly ran out to see you a few times, but just did not have the guts to appear in front of you. I was afraid of the look of disdain on your face. Now, I am extremely relaxed. I have returned to you everything I owed you and I do not have to have nightmares anymore. Such a feeling is really great." As she said that, a relaxed smile appeared on her face. Ling Tian was stunned for a moment and only replied after a while, "So, you also know how to feel guilty." Ling Shuai replied with contentment, "You don't have to be so sarcastic. Now, we are all the same. Despite repaying that debt, I still owe you right now. Ha ha ha." Ling Shuai then continued with a smile, "Do you know how unwilling I was and how annoyed I felt towards that marriage? Do you know how much I hate that Huang Jiayan? Now, I am finally free of all these things. I am really happy, really happy. Ling Tian revealed a thoughtful look and asked, if you were unwilling and disliked him, why did you agree to marry him? As though Ling Shuai was surprised that Ling Tian would ask that, she looked at him with questioning eyes as she complained, why? For my family. For the ambitions of the family. Being a daughter in the family, my destiny was predestined. I would definitely have to sacrifice myself for the family. I do not have the courage to betray the family. She continued with a mischievous smile. Thankfully, you blew all my troubles away with a bomb. If I were to have a second life, I would rather stay in the mountains and be a humble hunter's daughter. I would definitely not want to be born in such a family again. Ling Tian became quiet as the both of them stood opposite each other in silence. After a moment, Ling Shuai lifted her head up and said, Brother Tian, thank you. If we have a second life and are born in the same family, I would definitely be your most caring sister. I'll leave first. She then turned and walked away. After a few steps, she suddenly stopped and said softly to Ling Tian with her back facing him, Brother Tian, I'm sorry. Ling Tian immediately lifted up his head but realized that Ling Shuai could no longer be seen. From afar, the crowd was still flowing continuously, but Ling Tian only stood there with heartache. Perhaps, if you were to see things from Ling Shuai's perspective, although the methods used to frame him might have been a little despicable, how could a direct descendant like her let authority and power fall into the hands of one from the side branch? The moment they lose authority, they would definitely suffer oppression from the whole family. Such a result was something which the proud direct descendants would not be able to endure for sure. In that instant, the bone-piercing hatred which Ling Tian felt towards Ling Shuai disappeared. This lady suffered a bad name throughout half her lifetime for the sake of her family. For her family, she sacrificed the most precious marriage. However, the only thing he gave her was a heaven-shaking explosion. At that moment, the hatred in his heart turned into tenderness. Younger sister Shuai, if we have a next life, I hope that you will be born in an ordinary family. Enjoy a freedom to love, freedom to marry, freedom to enjoy the free life. Facing the direction which Shuai had gone in, Ling Tian sent out his blessings. For the first time, Ling Tian began to question if his decision to take revenge was right or wrong. He could not help but think about Ling Shuai's final words, Brother Tian, thank you. If we have a second life and are born in the same family, I would definitely be your most caring sister. Ling Tian felt bitterness in his heart as he said to himself, Shuai, if we have a second life and are born in the same family, I will definitely be a good brother and protect you from all grievances. The next life. Ling Tian suddenly remembered these words. Since there is really a Yellow Springs Road and a bridge of helplessness, then there must be a next life. Thinking about this, Ling Tian became agitated as he ran towards the direction which Ling Shuai headed and shouted, Shuai, wait for me, let us go together. In the next life, I will still be your brother. The moment Ling Tian sprinted, he was faster than all of the floating spirits. In the blink of an eye, he had already sprinted a long way but just could not find Ling Shuai. At that moment, he could not help but be disappointed and frustrated. Ahead was a white arch bridge with a misty light, which was surely the bridge of helplessness. By the side of the bridge, there was a large rock pavilion with the people on it staring at it with sorrow. That was certainly the home viewing pavilion. Ling Tian was anxious as he knew that once he walked past the bridge of helplessness, he had to drink grandmother Mang's soup for sure. He wanted to find where Ling Shuai was. However, he was completely unable to take a step back. What Ling Tian did not know was that when he sprinted forward while shouting, there was a tender figure by the side of the road weeping, and she was Ling Shuai. Seeing Ling Tian shout out as he passed her, Ling Shuai was extremely moved. She wanted to cry out to him, but was unable to say anything because of her tears of joy. She was completely elated, thinking, Brother Tian has forgiven me. Brother Tian has forgiven me. Excitement bubbling in her, she could not help but burst out into tears. Never did she expect that the knot in her heart, which had been there for so many years, would come undone in this cold and heartless Yellow Springs road after she died. Ling Tian vaguely heard the sounds of weeping from behind him and recognized that it was Ling Xuer's voice. Filled with joy, he turned behind and wanted to walk back with all his might. But he remained rooted to the ground. Anxious, he thought about the electric drill in the world. Since I am already without a form, I may be able to pass if I were to spin like an electric drill. The moment he thought about it, he raised his hands to the skies and began spinning on the spot. The moment Ling Tian felt that he was able to generate winds by spinning, he spun towards the direction he came from without restraint. All of the spirits around him began to lose their balance from his actions and cursed him. All of a sudden, all of the spirits around him suddenly disappeared because of a crazy brat who had suddenly started spinning in the middle of the road. It was as if their spirits were completely destroyed. All of the spirits could not help but sigh. There were weird things every year, but not as many as this year. It didn't matter if he was a maniac when he was alive. At least, there was a chance for them to reincarnate after death. But now, this brother here actually went crazy on Yellow Springs Road. It actually resulted in other spirits to be completely destroyed. Who knows what wrong they did in their past lives. As Ling Tian continued to spin, he slowly advanced forward as he thought to himself, this method is useful indeed. Just when he was extremely satisfied and advanced a few steps, he saw a white figure in front of him which looked like Ling Xuer, approaching him with open arms. With joy, Ling Tian began spinning even faster. Feeling as though he had broken something, he suddenly felt extremely relaxed. His surroundings no longer had that sluggish feeling, and he almost stumbled. He could not be bothered with anything as he stood up after staggering for a moment. Just when he wanted to say hi to Ling Xuer, Ling Tian was completely dumbfounded as he opened his eyes. My goodness. Where is this darn place?